Thank you. Good morning to you all. Now that I know that I'm the only thing standing between you and tea, I do feel the pressure. But therefore, in the spirit of the fourth industrial revolution, my slides are on there for you. It's on your smartphone. You can just download it there on Twitter. Thank you. See you next time. Okay. I'm going to cover with you, I think we've started very well in terms of our very basic resource of water that's so important for all of us. We spoke about food as well. We spoke about mining and so many important areas in the economy. But ultimately, I want to focus on the workplace regarding the role of the learning and development manager. Because that's where we need to play a key role to ensure that we have good learning and development practices in our organization so that we can really drive business performance. On the one hand, yes, it's about competence, but surely we want to achieve the goals of the business. And whatever industry we're in, banking, mining, or manufacturing, it's so important for us to really focus on the right type of practices. But I want to make a very important statement here today, and that is, and I think we've all felt it over the last 3-4 days with the whole issue of the situation with the listeriosis and the food. And I want to say to you, I think we need to get back to standards. We need to get back to standards because I think we've almost created a culture of mediocrity in so many industries where we just accept. Why would any one of us here today accept mediocre education for our children? Why would any one of us take a plane to Cape Town and we worry about the safety while we're flying to Cape Town? Therefore, learning and development is about standards. We need to raise standards from early childhood development throughout our life until we retire one day. And therefore, I'm proposing to you that we have to concentrate on learning and development standards. And that's, in a nutshell, what I'm going to cover with you briefly. So I will give you a very quick update in terms of where we stand with human resource and learning and development standards in the workplace. I will share with you the main learning and development standards we have developed. And when the Madam Chair shows me that my time is up, I will do the conclusion. Is that a deal? Okay, now in terms of our strategy, of course, we as an HR professional body focuses a lot on what good HR practice is all about. So our main focus is on ensuring that we've got competent people who can do their jobs and that we've got happy workforces who want to work effectively so that we can be effective. So for us, it's really about HR governance. And I know we talk so much about corporate governance and the scandals and state capture and all these other things we see in the newspapers. But I want to go as far as to say the time has arrived for HR governance, that we start governing our people in a more professional way in our organization. And this is why standards are so important. And I therefore also want to say to you, we are not going to achieve any successes in terms of economic growth if we don't get the human capital side of our country right. That is where we're currently suffering. I'm on the International Human Capital Index. We're currently number 88. Now, surely we can do better at that. All these issues about farming, we're not going to resolve that if we don't get the human capital from a farming perspective right. And the same applies to mining and all the others. And therefore, with this human capital index that we have developed for the country, we are really saying that we have to have the right human capital availability, then the well-being of our human capital, the cost, investment, and growth in the human capital. You cannot grow your business if you don't grow your people. And I think we've learned that lesson. And I always say to skills development people, sometimes we spend so much time developing other people that we forget about our own development. That's where it needs to start, for us to be able to say we have to step up in our workplaces as skills development centers and ensure that we are really effective there as well. And then human capital contribution. Each one of us sitting here today make a contribution to the human capital landscape. We are developing skills that this country really needs, but we need to be able to think on how do we really become more productive in that particular space. And then lastly, human capital wealth creation. Surely we want to create wealth for our country. We want to ensure that through human capital, we really build a productive economy the way we can be going forward. And I think we've heard some good news yesterday that the economic growth is much higher than we thought it would be. So I think it's something like 1.3 or so on. And yes, we feel good for one day about it. But the reality is it should be at least 5%. Okay, so we should do much better, but we're not going to do better if we're not getting the human capital side of our business right. If we want to benchmark, we need to look at Singapore, South Korea, those countries that were also in a very bad state 40 years ago. But look where they are today. Why? They fixed the human capital side of their economies throughout the way in which they are doing things. So I think we really need to say, as skills development practitioners, where are we in the socioeconomic landscape as far as our own transformation is concerned? And ultimately it starts with the individual, and all of us are part of that. It's also our teams, the organization, but surely we want to build better industries. And that's why I'm so glad to hear we're even talking about different industries starting working together, agriculture, mining, and so on. We really need to break down these barriers also between different departments and between different industries so that we really develop the human capital the way in which we should be doing it. But yes, there are models that maybe we have learned over the last couple of years also from our own studies and background. This was the traditional training model, from needs analysis to the design to skills transfer and eventually evaluation. But I think with all these changes taking place, perhaps we need to think harder about, does it really add value? Or do we distract value at each one of those particular phases? I would like to go as far as say the problem we have with the TVETs, we failed in needs analysis. We haven't done a proper needs analysis of what are those technical skills that we really need. And if we want to benchmark there, the German model of vocational training is there. We don't need another 100 summits in order to find out that there are solutions to proper training for our workforce. I mean, who in his right mind would run a business with people who don't have skills? How can we think we can run a successful economy if our vocational skills are not where they should be? So therefore, skills development is not a quick fix. And I think sometimes we go for quick fix solutions. We think we can just press a few buttons and the skills development system will be resolved. It's a lot of hard work, and there's a lot of integrated thinking that we need in order to ensure that we do get the skills development system right in our country. Now, I want to pose this question to you to quickly think about how effective do you think is your learning and development function in your company when it comes to driving business performance? Is it very effective or excellent? Okay, how many of you would say it's very effective? Hands up. Not one, okay. How many of you would say it's effective or good? Okay, there's about 14 people there. How many of you would say it's average? Okay, that is 19 people. How many of you would say it's below average? Okay, no one wants to admit we're below average, hey? And how many would say it's poor? Okay, are there a few honest people in the room? Okay, so I think what this tells us is, yes, we don't want to blame government for all our problems, but this is a matter of saying we are here in our own organizations. Now you can't blame government. We have to take responsibility for skills development in our own organizations and ensure that we are effective in terms of ensuring that we drive the right type of learning. If your employees are not at the right skills level, you cannot blame government. What have you done in terms of your own skills development? And that's why I think this summit is so fantastic, where we can collaborate and see how can we find solutions for all these particular issues that we're focusing on. But this statistics is bad news. Only between 8 and 15% of all training is transferred to the workplace, from the classroom to the workplace. And that, of course, poses a major challenge in terms of how we train our people and how we ensure that we are effective. Okay, you say my time is up. Okay, can I do one more? Okay, just one more. Two. Okay. Okay. Do you remember a few years back when this plane crashed they did that landing in the Hudson River? And this is what that Captain Sullenberger said when they asked him, how did you do it? Because, I mean, you don't really practice landing in rivers, am I right? Okay. He turned around and he said, it was my training. Okay, and I think this is where we don't always realize what's the impact of the work that we do. Okay, that learner who comes into your class somewhere, and it may be 20 years later, is going to use those particular skills and ensure that he's going to be effective. Okay, so the human resource standards we have developed really assist in that process, and the one I just want to show you today is just the learning and development one, where we are saying that If we want to get our over human resources and human capital framework right in our organizations, we have to get learning and development right. Okay. So yes, we have a lot of other functions in our companies, but ultimately learning and development is that one that should be so effective in terms of the way we do things. Now we've now audited companies against the standards, and there you see on learning and development, look there, we've got 5.7% in terms of how we are performing in learning and development. So clearly a lot of work needs to be done for us to ensure that we have to be effective. Okay, the rest of the slides will give you the details. I think they want to stop me. Let's continue to collaborate. The thing is, as learning and development practitioners, we are the professionals. We cannot make excuses for lack of skills in our companies. We have got 57 million people in this country. How can we say we don't have skills in this country? But we now need to go and develop those skills so that we can be as effective as we should be as skills development practitioners in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Before you leave,